Tomato traders have been caught up in a terrorist attack.
Tonight, African Union says it fully backs Ghana's motion set to be moved at the United Nations for slave trade to be tagged as gravest crime against humanity.
"6 years, one prayer camp, and a love that refuses to let go." We tell you the story of a man who chose to stay despite his wife's mental illness.
Bring you some international news later as Israeli strikes kills at least 11 Palestinians as many others are left injured.
We have details of this and more in the next hour. Stay with us.
Let's get into the details of the stories beginning from here. Ghanaian tomato traders are said to have been caught up in a terrorist attack in Burkina Faso. Information is scanty at this moment, but the Ghana mission is trying to visit the attack site to get the very latest, and this was disclosed by the Ministry of Interior. Let's walk you through a statement issued by the Interior Ministry in relation to this unfortunate attack that happened in Burkina Faso, and you see that on your screen right now. This is a statement signed by the Interior Minister himself, and it says that the government of Ghana has received disturbing information from Burkina Faso of a truck carrying tomato traders from Ghana, which was caught in a terrorist attack in Burkina Faso on Saturday, 14 February 2026. The Ghanaian embassy, or the Ghana embassy in Burkina Faso, is liaising with officials of Burkina Faso to visit the attack site for details and identification of Ghanaians caught in the attack. Further details would be communicated to the public side by Muntaka Mohammed Bubarak, Member of Parliament, also the Minister for the Interior and National Security. This was issued this Sunday, today, and is in relation to the unfortunate incident in Burkina Faso. Let's get some more details on this, if we can, from Castro Senyala. He's our Upper East Regional Correspondent, and he's joining us with some more update. Castro, good evening to you. First, explain to us the nature of the tomato trade between Ghanaians and Burkinabe, so we have a full understanding, a clear picture of what exists between the two countries in terms of tomato trade.
All right, Crosby, good evening to you. Yes, so the tomato trade between Ghana and Burkina Faso is a critical, high volume and deeply integral agricultural system where market women from Ghana travel to Burkina Faso to buy, tomatoes in high volumes, especially during the December-May dry season when tomato supplies in Ghana is very low and insufficient. Now, like I stated, during this time, where tomato demand is very high in the Ghanaian market, these women take the risks of going deeply or traveling deeply, usually in trucks that are very large, into Burkina Faso, where they make purchases and travel back to Ghana and to supply to the Ghanaian market. It is a very important, and a critical trade because, apart from the fact that it's generating income for both countries, it is also a way through which, the Ghanaian women get to explore and to understand other dynamics within the African market as a whole. And so, yes, if you come to the Paga border, for instance, where most of these trucks usually come to park, you would realize that a lot of people from the Ghanaian side would usually go to become pickers and also to become translators and all other roles that they will play to ensure that these women, usually from the southern part of Ghana, are able to go and successfully, engage in their business sector.
Right. So this is clearly a trade that has been going on for a while, as far back as we remember. So what happened this time around? What more do we know about this attack?
Crosby, as you rightly said, information around this attack is very scanty, but I have sources within Burkina Faso security setup which tell me that the attack wasn't a targeted attack where the attackers knew this was a Ghanaian truck that and they went on to attack it. From what I have gathered from security sources within Burkina Faso, and I'm still gathering more information, I understand that it was an attack in the market of Tiato, a suburb, a town in Burkina Faso, in the northeastern side of Burkina Faso. I understand that it was an attack that was being carried out. And unfortunately, Ghanaian traders were there at the time to engage in their businesses of buying tomatoes to bring back to Ghana. From what I gather, the attackers did not do any sort of identification to be able to tell whether these were Ghanaians or not, or the other nationalities of the people in the market.
Right.
They just carried out a cruel attack which led in the killing of 7 Ghanaians. We also understand that a driver of Ghanaian identity who refused to disembark from the vehicle, following the commands of these attackers, was torched together with the bus, and it was a very, it's a very disturbing video. I've seen some of these videos, disturbing and very much bring a lot of, tears to the eyes, and people are not really happy about that, especially across the border communities in Ghana.
Castro, thank you. We'll get back to you for some more details on this. Castro saying Eliza Apai's regional correspondent, updating us on some happenings in the area, particularly the attack of some Ghanaians in Burkina Faso.
Right, Crosby, let's just stay on this and speak to Richard Kumado. He is a fraud prevention expert and security consultant. Mr. Kumado, thanks for your time tonight. What is your own reading of this disturbing news, and how must Ghana approach this, knowing that there's little information about it and Castro tells us it was not a targeted attack?
Yeah. Definitely, my sources within Burkina Faso and within the tomatoes onion chain of activities confirm many of the things my brother Castro said. We've managed to speak to the union leaders in Burkina Faso. What I want to say is that this is a known trade. The traders have come under a number of attacks within recent months. It's a known path. We know Burkina Faso is also a known country where terror attacks have been very frequent. What I would suggest or recommend they do is that they need to take their travel risks very seriously. And if they had addressed their minds to the far end of where they have been, and the tendency of terror attacks very close to the markets where they find themselves, I believe this could have been avoided. The second point is that the few times they came under attack, the terror groups were able to identify them as Ghanaians and they let them go. To the extent that this is a surprise attack, they took everybody by surprise. They went after the men and left the women. I am happy that our embassy is taking credible steps to get closer to where the attack took place. I am also saying that all citizens across the continent or Africa, to the extent that within the West Africa, terror attacks have become very frequent, everywhere you find yourselves, take the time to speak to our embassy staff, and they may provide some risk guidelines or travel guidelines as to where to go and where not to go. And I believe if we take those decisions seriously, we will be avoiding some of these attacks that happen to our people.
You just mentioned the role the embassies are playing. If you look at the very nature of the trade between the two countries, should we not consider some form of arrangement that ensures our people have some form of state protection from the Burkinabés?
Definitely, yes. If you look at this particular one, they have a union leader in terms of a driver who drives them across the country of Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger. The advice of this particular person or persons were ignored, and presence was not made available, and some level of intelligence as to where to go, where not to go was also ignored. If they wouldn't take the advice in terms of security risks or travel risks from their main people they deal with in terms of the unions, then it would be proper to deal with the embassy. And once you deal with the embassy, it becomes an official position where they will provide security guidance and security escort to our traders deep into where they went. Right. If you look at the distance from the capital to where the attack took place, it's about 235,000 kilometers, which is a little bit of a distance, deep down to where you have a lot of terror attacks as rampantly as possible. And they will need to take their personal security seriously, even though this is a trade they depend largely on for income. Right.
Mr. Kumado, thank you for talking to us. Richard Kumado is a security consultant.
Let's try to find out where all of this is coming from, because traders in the Techiman market in the Bono East region, they are lamenting over tomato shortage in Ghana, which is forcing them to travel all the way to neighboring countries. According to them, the lack of proper irrigation systems in farming communities is the reason for the shortage of one of the most important vegetables in the country.
The Techiman market is mostly filled with varieties of tomatoes, with the buyers mostly presented with choices on who to buy from or which type to buy. On Friday, which happens to be the biggest market day, however, the situation was different. Boxes that were usually filled with fresh tomatoes stood empty as sellers sit hopelessly watching their customers parading in search of the most used vegetable in every Ghanaian home. The traders lament that all their efforts in getting the goods from neighboring Burkina Faso proved futile. The government of Burkina Faso has built 4 major processing plants for tomato, and so now when you go, they decide to sell to you or not. So because of that, nowadays we don't even get the tomatoes to buy. Last week we went to Paga and we had to return with our empty hands. We even left the car there. They believe the lack of irrigation systems in tomato farming communities like Tiobodom is the reason for the constant shortage of tomatoes in Ghanaian markets. Previously, when he had an irrigation system in Bolga and Navrongo, we don't waste our time traveling to other countries in search of tomatoes. But now all of that is no longer available, so we'll plead with government. We need irrigation systems. That is the only way to solve the situation. Meanwhile, tomato farmers in Tiobodom are urging government to invest in improved climate resilient seedlings that can withstand all weather patterns. The improved seed is good for our weather here, but it's very expensive. So we'll plead with government to invest and bring it in large quantities for us to buy. That way we can do all year-round farming without worry. The seeds from Burkina is more improved and quality than the local ones we have here, but that one is mostly very expensive. And so we are pleading with government to invest and bring it in large quantity so we can get it here to buy. In response, the Deputy Minister for Agriculture assured that their outfit is putting in place drastic measures to curb the shortage and improve local yield through infrastructure and seed distribution.
For the short term, we are distributing the water pumps that we seize from the galamseyers to the farmers to be able to help them irrigate. The long-term measure is to rehabilitate and renovate the existing irrigation systems that we have. I mean, if you go to a commandant, they have their irrigation system. The improved seed is important, and that's what we are working on. And so we are working on with the research department, that's CSIR and other areas, other institutions to give us improved seeds.
Ghana spends approximately $400 million in importing fresh tomatoes, primarily from Burkina Faso, to meet over 90% of its consumption demand. By investing in modernized farming, government will be saving millions of cedis, which can be reinvested in our own soil, ensuring that traders in Techiman never have to risk their lives across borders just to put food on tables. Belinda Tete, TV3 News. Techiman Market.
Let's do some other stories now. The African Union Commission says it fully backs Ghana's push for reparation for African countries. President Mahama, who is the AU champion for reparations, has indicated the decision to ask the UN for a global declaration of slave trade as the gravest crime against humanity. My colleague Martin Isedudate is in Addis Ababa for the AU session and has been providing updates.
Well, it has been a packed few days here at the AU headquarters in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, where almost all the presidents of the continent and their foreign ministers have gathered to deliberate on a number of issues that are plaguing the continent, including insecurity, especially within the West African sub-region, and the issues of economic development for the continent. Some of the key highlights have included the passing through of the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, who touched on the fact that it is indefensible that the continent of Africa does not have a permanent seat at the UN Security Council, and he believes that conversation needs to be pushed forcefully. More importantly, because the number of conflicts that have been discussed over the decades have largely been on the continent of Africa. So a Security Council cannot talk about security without Africa being a part of it. We've also had the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni passing through, and then the Palestinian Prime Minister as well. African Union has actually named President John Dramani Mahama of Ghana as the AU champion for reparations, and he has carried that mantle very forcefully, where he says, amongst other things, he's looking at tabling a motion at the United Nations Assembly on the 25th of March, which is this next month. And what he is seeking is that the United Nations must recognize the transatlantic slave trade that happened a number of years ago. The UN must recognize that as the gravest crime against humanity.
The draft UN resolution titled Declaration of the Trafficking on Enslaved Africans and Radicalized Racial Chattel Enslavement of Africans as a Greatest Crime Against Humanity is going to be moved by Ghana on the floor of the General Assembly on March 25th this year. The resolution has been submitted to this assembly for endorsement in order that Africa speaks with one voice on that global platform.
Now, the chairperson of the African Union Commission, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, says Ghana has the full backing of the continental body.
His Excellency President John Mahama, I think that if Ghana decided to go to the UN Security Council, it is with the mandate of the African Union and with the support of the 55 countries. And without that support and the support of the A3 plus is the non-permanent members of the African countries in the Security Council. And I think that the whole process of demanding reparations and asking that slavery is and was considered as a crime against humanity, it is a collective effort. And Ghana is relying on the support of the African group in New York to advocate for that and to lobby for that. So rest assured that the Commission is behind Ghana to support the tabling of that resolution at the UN Security Council.
Well, let's come home to Ghana and do some politics, because NPP flag bearer Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia has urged government not to intimidate political opponents, but rather address the challenges facing the nation. He made this call at a Christian Thanksgiving service to celebrate his victory as flag bearer.
I would like to use this sacred moment to appeal respectfully and firmly to the government of the day. Ghana has been through a lot. Our people are still under lots of pressure. This is not the time for retribution, intimidation, or the settling of political scores. It is the time to lower the temperature, heal the nation, and govern in a way that reassures every Ghanaian that they are safe, respected, and valued, regardless of how they voted. Ghana is bigger than any political party. Our democracy must never be reduced to vengeance. There is work to be done, serious work. The kind of work that requires patience, listening, learning, and showing up even when the applause is absent. The kind of work that places the country before comfort and duty.
And still from the Thanksgiving service, Minority Leader Alexander Apeyo-Markin says the NPP will this week demand that government fully pays what is due cocoa farmers. According to him, cocoa farmers have been cheated.
One bag, 3,000. 625.
One bag was 3,625 Ghana cedis. Today it has been reduced to 2,587 by the NDC government. I want each MPP member to inform the NDC that it is not about speaking big English in Accra on social media and having CSOs do same. Cocoa farmers want their money. Give their money to them. Each cocoa farmer is losing 1,000 cedis. They won't have an easy time this week in Parliament.
10 million per bag. And no near someone here can. Inti wiki minority for parliament. Ebeye butu. Cocoa farmers or musicano ombetua.
Away from all that politics, love, they say, is patient and long-suffering. For Emmanuel and Ikuya, these words aren't just quotes, but their life. For 6 years, through grief and mental health challenges, Emmanuel has remained at a prayer camp waiting for the woman he loves to return to him. Paul Shagabo brings us the story of a love that hopes to conquer mental illness.
It's been 6 long years for Emmanuel, 6 years of waiting, of hoping, and of having unwavering faith that love can conquer mental illness. His wife, Ifia, has been at the prayer camp, chained and locked, hoping for divine intervention alongside others battling mental health challenges. It all started after she gave birth to their daughter, a child who is now deceased.
I love you. We are here for a reason. God is with us.
Emmanuel decided to stay with his wife when others left. He moved into the prayer camp to be by his wife's side. He's here, catering to her every need. He tells me that nothing, absolutely nothing, not even the weight of mental illness, will ever make him leave her side.
I will not leave her until death do us part.
Christian Voloto is a physician assistant with the Ghana Health Service. He has dedicated himself to catering to the needs of patients with mental health challenges. I'm here with him at the prayer camp as he assesses Ikuya's condition.
In fact, all the cases I've seen where the woman got sick, the men have left. They've all left. Most of the cases. But to hear that someone has stuck to the wife in this state for 6 years and resisting all the temptation to go outside, it's a beautiful story. I realized that she has schizophrenia, and what I've given her is a long-acting medication that works for 1 month. And I believe with the experience I've had with the other street ones, by the 2nd or 3rd week, by the grace of God, we should start seeing some small changes.
Emmanuel says he will remain by Ifia's side until his love conquers her mental illness.
I attend church with her. I learned in church that we should love our neighbor as ourselves. It is my duty to take care of her. I'm hoping that her condition will improve one day.
They got married, and then they had a child. 3 months after the baby, the wife traveled to the parents, and then he had a call that the wife had gotten missing. And then a few days later, the woman came knocking at his door in the night, and then he realized that his speech wasn't coherent. He would take a topic, then drop it, bring another in, and then he realized that she was having a problem, and then they took her to Pantine. And according to her, it was during the COVID era, so they didn't get that care that they wanted, so they had to come back home, and then they found themselves coming to the church here, the prayer camp here at Yokitikpo. They came with her family, but later the family left, and then he has been here consistently for the past 6 years.
Indeed, love does not give up. It endures. It hopes. It's long-suffering. This is a beautiful story of faith, of hope, and of sacrifice. And truly, the greatest of these virtues is love. Portia Gabo, TV3 News.
I wish the two of them all the best. But away from that, Minister for Communication Samuel Neto George says government is determined to protect all nationals from cyber crimes. This declaration comes in the wake of disturbing viral footages released by a Russian national showing his interaction with Ghanaian women, with some of them ending up in his apartment. There's more in this report.
Ghana's internet space has in the last week seen multiple videos showing interactions between a Russian national and Ghanaian women in what mostly starts as a random conversation. The video then switches to he and the woman in his apartment. This has left many citizens concerned amid suggestions of possible explicit content in his possession. The Minister for Gender and Social Protection was the first to comment on the matter.
What has happened is very unfortunate, very, very unfortunate, and it is heartbreaking. I will tell Ghanaians that it might have happened to these girls today, but if we don't take pragmatic steps to stop it, it can reoccur. People can lose their lives because of that. Their entire future can be wiped away because of that. On the side of the ministry, we are collaborating with all the security agencies to ensure that we pull down and then bring the perpetrator to book.
Communication Minister Sam George says government will use all its powers to deal with this Russian national.
I caused the ministry to send an invitation to the Russian ambassador. We're taking a very strong view of it. The individuals involved are not minors. What the Cybersecurity Authority is interested in, and my ministry is interested in, is not in the moral judgment of the individuals. It's in the non-consensual sharing of the videos that were posted online. That is a crime. To record a person without their consent. And apart from, and even when you record and keep it on your phone, and the person finds out and reports to us, we'll prosecute you and you go to jail.
It remains to be seen how soon this will happen.
You're watching News 360 on TV3. We have more after this break. Don't go away.
acrylic paint. No be any paint, be paint.
The lousy acrylic paint.
Welcome back. This is News 360. Let's do some more stories. Tonight, a special report on a crisis we see every year but rarely confront at its root. From flooded homes in Accra to mountains of plastic waste along our beaches in Bankuman and beyond, Ghana's struggle with plastic pollution is no longer just an environmental issue, it's a national emergency. Successive governments have tried clean-up campaigns and task forces, yet the floods return. But what if the solution is no more cleanups, but courage? In 2019, Jamaica made a bold decision banning single-use plastics. Today, its streets are cleaner, its drains flow freely, and its people say the inconvenience was worth it. Joseph Armstrong Gold Alogbe reports from Kingston, Jamaica.
For decades, plastic has quietly taken over daily lives in Ghana, from sachet water to takeaway food, from shopping bags to street vending. Plastic has become unavoidable, but this convenience has come at a cost.
How will you describe this beach? In our country, we don't call this place a beach because our own beach, there is a lot of sand. You don't see this kind of bola there. They don't put bola in our beach. I can show you the example.
From the country where you're coming from?
Yes, sir.
You can show me an example?
Yes, sir.
Each year, parts of Accra and other major cities are flooded. Lives are disrupted, property is destroyed. In some cases, lives are lost. And at the center of this recurring disaster is one common enemy: plastic waste. Successive governments have tried, task forces have been formed, campaigns have been launched.
Plastic and
sewage. But must it be this way? As a journalist, I recently traveled to Jamaica. What I saw was striking. Plastic waste was almost non-existent. I asked a simple question: how did they do it? In 2019, the Jamaican government took a bold decision. They banned single-use plastics, plastic bags, food containers, plastic straws were all banned. I spoke to some Jamaicans, ordinary citizens. They told me something surprising. They told me, at first, we were angry. We didn't understand why the government would do that. It was inconvenient. We thought it would fail. But today, they said, we are grateful. They spoke of a cleaner cities, reduced flooding. The government spoke. They chose a long-term survival over a short-term comfort, and the people adapted.
It has worked, and as you see, there's not much plastic on the ground while you're walking through Kingston.
Before 2019, you look very young though, but I know you can recall what happened in 2019. Before 2019, how was your environment like?
Our rivers, the gullies that we'd have here, they would be filled with plastics, microplastics of all sorts of kinds, blockage, and when rain would fall heavily here in Jamaica, it would overflow and it would flow into houses and just cause destruction.
You agree?
And not only to add to that though, we realize where the garbage has died down, because beforehand we used to have a lot of plastic where it caused a lot of health issues.
So things are better, you agree? Come to me. Yeah.
I do agree that things have been better since the ban of plastic. Jamaica is looking very much pretty, not like it hasn't been looking pretty all along.
Something else struck me. Ghanaians who traveled abroad are often careful. They obey the rules of the countries they visit. They avoid plastic bags. They comply without protest. Yet, on the return flight home, even before landing, you begin to see people wrapping their belongings in plastic bags. It raises a deeper question. Is the problem really the people? Ghana is not different. Our people are resilient. Our entrepreneurs are innovative. If plastic is banned, alternatives will emerge. Paper, biodegradable packaging, local solutions. What is missing is not the capacity. What is missing is the political will. Jamaica chose courage. Ghana keeps choosing delay due to the number of people likely to lose their jobs. Currently, at Bankuman in the Tema municipality, along the beach from the Eastern Naval Command, all the way to Bankuman and beyond has become a dumping site of all kinds of plastic waste, taking away the beauty and environmental hygiene from the beach. All attempts to get the attention of the municipal authorities have not been successful. The question is no longer whether plastic is killing our cities. The question is, how many more floods must we endure before we act? If Jamaica could do it, why can't Ghana? Plastic is choking Ghana. All our river bodies in the capital cities have dried up. The solution already exists. Banning plastic is not a punishment. It is protection. The future is watching. Joseph Armstrong, Good Alugwe TV3, Kingston, Jamaica.
And to another disturbing development, Accra's traffic congestion is worsening, costing commuters hours each day and the economy millions of cedis annually. Government says relief lies in a proposed 20-year green digital city project spanning 3 regions. But months after feasibility studies were expected to begin, what has actually changed? Deborah Abamensa has more in this report.
From Tema to the ministry's area in Accra, from Medina to the central business district, what should take under an hour now stretches into 3. According to the transport studies, the average commuter in Greater Accra spent about 110 minutes a day traveling, much of it stuck in traffic.
Things are not moving. Look at the traffic we are incurring. The traffic alone, moving from your place or your home to the office, take you about 2-3 hours before you get to the office. What are you going to do? And you'll be leaving office around 4 instead of you closing 6 o'clock. Because of traffic, you want to leave earlier so that you can get home. And you have family, kids at home. You understand? Accra is really choked.
All the works and the public places all located in Accra because and it has dragged many people from the country, Ghana, to stay in Accra, all because they can't find job at where they are unless they come here.
For many residents, Accra is no longer just busy, it is overwhelmed. The economic cost is significant. The World Bank estimates Ghana loses about $200 million annually due to traffic congestion from lost productivity, fuel waste, and delays to business operations. Parliamentary data also shows about 70% of major roads in Accra are congested during peak hours, with vehicle speeds dropping below 20 kilometers per hour. President Mahama in May 2025, whilst addressing a Durbar of chiefs and people at Dodowa, said the new city will be located somewhere on the Accra Plains from Bundase, straddling across the Greater Accra, Eastern and Volta regions. In his January 2026 New Year message, President Mahama said foundational works for major reforms, including a new city, was laid in 2025 with 2026 set for scale-up.
As a permanent fix to decongest Accra, we'll begin the design and feasibility study for a new city. Some of the government offices and agencies will be moved out of Accra to the new city.
The project, branded the Green Digital City, is planned as a 20-year smart development across Greater Accra, Volta, and Eastern regions. For development experts, the greatest threat is not money, but political discontinuity.
We need to plan how we can gradually, with our little resources, commit something to it. Are we committing part of our oil money? Or now that we are discovering lithium, are we going to use part of the lithium money? Are we going to use part of our internal generated funds? We can never sit and get $10 billion to start it. No, it cannot happen. Our needs are so many.
If the project is not anchored in a national development framework, successive governments may deprioritize it.
If you are expanding to new locations, we need to plan, and then we need to know where exactly are we going to expand this city to. Because if you are saying we are developing a new city, that doesn't mean that we are going to abandon Greater Accra. Definitely Greater Accra will exist, but are we limiting certain things that can congest Greater Accra and taking them across, particularly about the ministries and then where we do government business? Are we talking about creating new working environments around certain areas or the new city area so that we can divert people working life and time towards those locations? If that is planned, then we can get there.
While the long-term vision unfolds, Accra's daily gridlock continues. Even as government promotes the smart city vision, residents say relief cannot wait 20 years. For now, Accra remains congested, and the real test may not be the announcement of a new city, but the execution of immediate solutions already within reach. Deborah Bamensa, TV3 News, Accra.
Well, Ghana is taking a major step to protect its declining fish stocks with plans to establish the country's first ever marine protected area around Cape 3 Point in the Western region. The move is aimed at restoring marine biodiversity while securing livelihoods for coastal fishing communities.
The proposed marine protected area is part of government efforts to address overfishing, illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing practices, as well as the growing impact of climate change on the marine environment. Cape 3 Point, home to one of the richest marine ecosystems in Ghana, has over the years experienced intense fishing pressure, leading to declining fish catches. Under the plan, fishing activities will be regulated within designated zones to allow depleted fish species to breed and replenish. Fisheries experts say protecting nursery and spawning grounds will help rebuild fish populations, with benefit extending beyond the protected area due to natural fish migration along Ghana's territorial waters.
It's an area of immense marine biodiversity. Notably, we find whales, we find marine turtles, we find dolphins, we find so many interesting species within the Greater Cape 3 Point area. So it's an area that has all this biodiversity that has to be preserved because they are important for the nation, but also internationally they are interesting.
To ensure community involvement, marine protected area committees have been formed within the affected fishing communities. The stakeholders were assembled by the Ghana Fisheries Recovery Activity to deliberate on implementation plans. The committees are expected to act as a link between government and fisher folk, promoting dialogue, education, and compliance with conservation measures. Fisheries authorities are optimistic that the initiative will in the long term improve fish abundance and stabilize incomes for artisanal fishers who depend heavily on the sea for survival. Beyond fishing, the project is also expected to boost ecotourism.
If you look at the current status of our fisheries, particularly the fish landings, for over 2 decades now, the landings have been declining. And that is an indication that our stocks have been heavily depleted. And so they ought to be restored. And so with this MPA, it's going to complement the suite of management actions and strategies that are already in place to ensure that the downward trend of the fish landings is going to be reversed.
Cape 3 Point, already known for its scenic beaches and historic lighthouse, would attract tourists, researchers and conservationists, creating alternative livelihood opportunities for local residents. Government officials say the Cape 3 Point Marine Protected Area will serve as a pilot project. If successful, similar protected zones will be established along other parts of the coast. As pressure continues to mount on Ghana's fisheries sector, authorities believe the creation of the Marine Protected Area represents a critical step toward balancing economic activity with environmental sustainability, ensuring the future of the nation's marine resources for generations to come. Stanley Nibble, TV3 News, Accra.
Away from that, health officials in the whole municipality of the Volta region have expressed concern over the increasing cases of hypertension and diabetes among traders in the whole market. According to the officials, at least 22 out of 30 women have been identified as having hypertension following a screening exercise conducted in the market.
Hypertension was once a rare condition in Ghana, but has become a major public health crisis in recent years. Described as a silent killer, it is the primary driver of stroke and heart failure in the country, with studies indicating that nearly 1 in 3 adults in Ghana lives with high blood pressure. Recent data indicates a national hypertension prevalence of around 34% among adults, with some studies in urban poor areas showing rates as high as 47.3%. In the whole central market, at least 22 out of 30 market women have been identified as having the condition. These findings follows a screening exercise conducted by health officials in the whole municipality.
Seeing about 30 market women, I realized that about 22 of them have hypertension, and out of the 22, about 10 of them also have diabetes. Extra 5 of them we have asked to go to the hospital to do the BP profiling. So I believe that because they are market women, they are not really mobile, they don't exercise a lot. They are staying at one place, and the kind of food they eat a lot of salt.
With Ghana Health Service, we have a lot to do in terms of intensifying our education. We need to intensify it. Then the screening services too. We need to do more because we realize a lot of them are having high BP without knowing. They have never been detected before. So I think when we do more of this, then we will detect the cases and put them on treatment as early as possible.
A recent study in southern Ghana found a 16% prevalence among women. For the Volta region, at least 9.3% of people with the condition are women. Member of Parliament for Whole Central, Eden Potosu, who sponsored the screening exercise, underscored the need for regular screening and treatment for the population.
Majority of women here, you discuss with your friend, I have headache, and they'll tell you, the other day I went to the hospital and the doctor told me to buy this medicine. So you used to go and buy it and take it, without knowing the root cause of what has caused it. So I decided to show love to them on this day by having this medical screening clinic. So at least you know what is happening. This non-communicable disease, we have to catch them at a tender age so that they can work on it. Otherwise, when it grows out of it, then it becomes complex.
While awareness is growing, many women remain undiagnosed, with one study showing only 46.2% of hypertensive individuals were aware of their status, with only 1.3% achieving controlled blood pressure. Faisal Abdul Idrisu, TV3 News.
News360 returns with more stories after this break. Don't go away.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Bill Lishen. To our first story, an early first-half goal from Baba Adamu was enough for Hearts of Oak as they secured an all-important 1-0 victory over Asante Kotoko. The 10-man Phobians have now reduced their points deficit against league leaders Mediama SC to 5 points.
Martin Kakari to take the Hearts of Oak free kick. Puts one into the box and Adamu heads it. Kamara and the Phobians have the opening goal at the Baba Yawa Sports Stadium. Baba Adamu, an unlikely scorer, put the Phobians ahead here on 13 minutes. Asante Kotoko 0, Hearts of Oak 1. It is Baba Adamu. He set the Phobian fans into wild celebrations under the scoreboard. They've silenced the porcupines. Baba Adamu puts the Phobians ahead with that looping header, and Mohamed Kamara struggled to deal with it. It's Kotoko 0, Hearts of Oak 1. Prince Owusu and Hamza Issa have got a lot of thinking to do now.
Definitely, but then such a terrible ball to concede there by Kamara. Lost his footing, just no man's land. A lovely delivery from Kakari and a glancing header. He had to improvise with his back facing post. Just look at that. Just flick that one.
Still on the Super Clash, here are reactions from the coaches of Asante Kotoko and Hearts of Oak after the result.
I think the boys did their best. They kept on fighting even to the end. But it's just a mistake from the goalkeeper cost us all this. So, of course, nothing you didn't see. We put 2 men at the top and then 2 on the left and the right. We did that one. I think you didn't recognize it. Of course, it's very, very difficult for us. We need to fight very, very hard before we can get that title ourselves. It's not easy. Oh, yeah, the ambition they brought, they went to fight to win the game, and they did that.
I think that whatever we knew they were going to do, we steadied the team. We appreciated their strengths, and also we appreciated our strengths. And then we knew there were going to be moments where we would control the game. And I think we controlled the game right from the beginning until we had the goal. And then with this, we looked a bit destabilized when we had the red card. And then we needed to manage the situation in that moment. And then at half time, we have that moment to structure in order to deal with the situation.
So those were the reactions from the coaches after the Super Clash. Of course, we'll take a look at the results from match day 22 in the Ghana Premier League. Bechem United defeating Young Apostles by a goal to no. Brekum Chelsea defeated Hearts of Lions 2-1. Gold Stars defeated Holy Stars 3-0 to move just 5 points behind the group leaders, that is Mediama. Of course, Karela defeated Dreams 1-0. Hoho United defeated Nations FC 2-1. Swedru All Blacks defeated Samatex 1-0. Mediama drew 1-1 with Aduana. Vision FC defeated 11 Wonders 3-1. And of course, Hearts of Oak defeating Asante Kotoko by a goal to 0 in the Super Clash. Now in England, Arsenal saw their chances of winning a quadruple receive another boost after defeating Wigan Athletic by 4-0 at the Emirates Stadium in the FA Cup 4th round. Yoni Madueke, Gabriel Jesus and Gabriel Martinelli found the net for the Gunners.
Playing the Zubimendi role. That's a great ball. Madueke 1-0. Norgard into Eze. Eze's through ball. It's another beauty from him. It's Martinelli. And it's 2-0 into Saka. Pulled back by Saka. It's an own goal. As the flag stay down here, Gabriel Jesus dinks it into the back of the net.
So we'll take a look at the results in the 4th round of the FA Cup, including Arsenal's 4-0 win over Wigan. Sunderland defeated Oxford United 1-0. Fulham defeated Stoke 2-1. Wolves defeated Grimsby 1-0. Leeds defeated Birmingham 2-1. Liverpool were 3-0 winners over Brighton. Aston Villa lost 3-1 to Newcastle. Mansfield defeated Burnley 2-1 as well. And then there's also City, who defeated Salford 2-0. Norwich defeating West Brom 3-1. Southampton defeated Leicester 2-1. West Ham defeated Burton 1-0. Chelsea defeated Hull 4-0. And Wrexham defeated Ipswich by a goal to 0. That's it for the sports segment here on News 360. My name is Bill Ishen. Back to you, Grace.
Right, let's take the latest on the international front.
Israeli strikes in Gaza killed 11 Palestinians on Sunday, with attacks on a tent camp in northern Gaza and another in the south claiming 6 and 5 lives respectively. Israel's military said it targeted militant sites after Hamas broke the ceasefire, killing fighters who emerged from a tunnel. The fragile truce in place since October 10 has been violated daily, with both sides blaming each other. The Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry reports at least 600 people have been killed since the ceasefire took effect, with 32 people killed in Israeli airstrikes earlier this month. The latest strikes coincide with preparations for the second phase of a U.S.-brokered ceasefire agreement. The U.S. has established the Board of Peace mandated by the UN Secretary Council to secure Gaza borders, disarm Hamas, and oversee post-war reconstruction. Indonesia will deploy 800 soldiers to Gaza as part of Phase 2. The conflict began with a Hamas-led attack on southern Israel, killing 1,200 and 251 hostages, prompting Israel's military campaign that has killed over 71,820 people in Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu met U.S. President Trump to discuss Iran's nuclear program, with talks ongoing.
And thank you so much for spending the last hour with us. There's always more news on our website, 3news.com. I'm Noble Crosby Annan.
And I'm Grace Hamwajiman. The Valentine's Day edition of Date Rush is up. You don't want to miss out. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye.